What is going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to another episode of a technical analysis video on the Nasdaq100. I hope you guys have had an amazing week with your trades this week, or week just gone. Right now, I believe the content that I'm going to be sharing with you today you are going to find super useful, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification and drop us a like. And with all of that covered, we're going to get straight into the business of the analysis for this week commencing the 24th of June. Yep, so that is tomorrow, Monday. Right, so first things first is we're going to separate the previous weeks, right? So we want to kind of look at what we talked about or what we were preparing for, and our preparation was for week commencing the 17th. Okay, that's week just gone, right? And everything we're going to be talking about for last week, which is all the events that took place last week commencing the 17th, is in preparation for week commencing the 24th, right? So let's lock that in place. And let's look to see what took place. Okay, so last week on the 4 hour, we found these two fair value gaps, and I believe price was going to be coming down to that zone. It kind of looks like it might want to come down to the zone with the build up in this area, but we'll find out as time goes on, right? So this was the fair value gap that we found in week commencing the 10th, which was the previous Monday, right? And once again, I always mention what I always mention, which is the weekly lows and the weekly highs, right? So weekly lows, weekly highs. And as you can see, the weekly high was taken out. Now the weekly high was taken out and we had a bit of consolidation, right? But ultimately it blasted up to the upside. So this stuff I talk about in terms of weekly lows and weekly highs, it is effective, but it does take a lot of work. So this area here may have played around with a few people, but bottom line is if you entered in at this level, so say for example, if you put in a long position over here, right? So weekly high was taken out and you pull it over here, your safe stop would have been down here. But bearing in mind, we had the fair values sitting under here. So you may have got in, you may not have gotten in, but there was a dangerous area down here, okay, if you were in a long position and price closed above the weekly high. At the same time, if you had gotten in aggressively with a sell, then naturally you would still be sitting in drawdown right now, or possibly just around break even. Let's have a look. Yeah, just around, give or take, break even. So you'd be around here somewhere, right? If you got in around this level. So that's pretty much it in terms of moves that you could have made last week and this week, right? And how you would have needed to protect yourself. Because like I say, this thing is not, it's not the easiest system in the world, but it is the easiest system to follow along, especially if you are really new and you're able to get your head around the concept of weekly lows and weekly highs. One of the main things that you kind of want to get your head around, especially if you're new to trading, is you really want to take your time and understand the process of how markets actually move, right? And there is so much information on there in regards to that it is highly recommended that you take it upon yourself to go and do the work. Because trust me, this thing that you're part of is super useful and it will help you. But the main thing is that you're going to need to know how to do these things yourself, right? It's really important that you learn how to do these things yourself. So with that all covered, we're going to get rid of some of these things that we had up on here, and then we're going to focus more on what could take place for this week coming, right? So I'm going to get rid of all of the labels. Right? We still got these fair values down here, so we're going to keep them where they are. We're not going to change them around at all. And what we are going to do is we're going to locate the new weekly high and the new weekly low for last week, right? Because that could help us for this week coming, the 24th of June. So we've got our first level up here, and then we have our second level, which was set for us. The weekly low was set for us on a Monday, right? And if you look at the distance, this area is looking a bit more attractive, but at the same time, it can still just blast up. That can easily happen as well. So we've got to be mindful of that. We've got to be super mindful about that. So let's have a quick look. Weekly lows. Okay. So now we're going to assign some labels to this, right? And these are the zones that we want to keep an eye on, right? And also because we have these two bullish FVGs sitting right here, okay, we would need price to basically fly all the way through. Actually, my bad. There is 3 FVGs. I didn't even notice this one. They're so close together. So there's one here, and then there's another one here, and then there's another one here. So there's 3 FVGs. I literally thought there was only 2 because they were so close together. Right, so we have a weekly low of 19634.6. So if that level is taken out, then we're looking for sales in a corresponding direction, but we need to be mindful about this area right here. We have a few FVGs sitting there, bullish FVGs, which could obviously blast price back up to the upside, right? And then on the high side, or the weekly high, we have it set at 20108.4, right? So if either one of these levels is taken out, depending on how it's taken out, we'll be looking for positions in that corresponding move, whether it be down or whether it be up, right? So now that we've done that, let's try to understand a little bit more as to what's going on in this area, right? Let's just see if we can understand a little bit more as to what is actually happening, because it has closed above a trend line right now. So let me just go into a 4-hour so I can bring everything in. Right, I can bring everything in. Okay. So it's closed above this trend that we had right here. So this trend line, right, that we had, and this trend line below, right? Price is now above that, okay? So we now need to be mindful as to what it is that it's doing. And let's see if there's any trends we can find or any structures we can find as it's pushing upwards. So let me make this bold, and let's make this blue, right? Actually, no, let's change the color of that. Let's make this yellow. Okay. And I'm kind of trying to see if it's actually going to make sense how I'm about to do it. Okay, and then if you drag this all the way down, does it touch anything? If I kind of do this, it's like I'm forcing it to be in there. Let me just see. Because the thing with trend lines is I don't really like forcing them into position. Okay, this looks about right. Okay, so we have, let's go into, I think a day might be a bit more beneficial. Okay, so apologies, this is looking really busy, but hopefully we can see. So we have this trend line over here. This is the main trend line over here, okay, right, yeah? And this trend line usually breaks down, but as we can see, price has gone above it. But it's now produced another trend line that is just like this trend line, right? And this one here could actually end up breaking downwards, right, to around this level over here, giving us a head, and this area here being a shoulder. Now, obviously, this is just pure speculation, and we're looking at this on a day, so this is like weeks and weeks and weeks in the making, right? So these are things that I would say keep an eye on, especially structure of market as market is moving, because sometimes it tells us what it's planning on doing. It actually tells us what it's planning on doing. I mean, if price closes below this level down here, it's only fair to assume that it's going to come back down to around this zone over here. So this zone right here, let me just draw a little box around that. Okay, so we just call that a support level. So you come down to this level right here for a possible retest. Let me just draw a little arrow so you guys can see what it is I'm referencing. Let's make that white. A possible area of a retest, and this will be a zone that we'll be looking at that will be somewhere, say, so I'm just going to tag right in the middle of that zone. We'll be looking at, say, 16947.5, right? So there is a possibility that price, and we're looking at this on a day, price could come down from where it is, retest this zone, which is a support level, okay, and then it may push back up because it's still above the buy side. So in this whole position over here, as market has been moving, you should only well and truly be looking for long positions, right? Long positions. So let's just see how everything progresses, because obviously we're doing this week by week, right? So this move from up here down here is going to take a little while, unless if something really crazy happens and we get this in one move, which I highly doubt. But we'll see how things go. So as it stands, when I go back to the day, when I go back to the hour, that's what I meant to say. When I actually go back to the hour, this is how everything is kind of looking. So let me just bring this in a bit, make it a bit tighter. Okay, so this is how everything is kind of looking, right? We have the weekly low that's already been set, weekly high that's already been set of last week, and now we need to know where price is heading, going to head down to. So what I would say to you guys is this, right? Take your time, be cautious, and make sure that you understand why you're entering into your trade, supposing into just entering into your trade. So something has taken place to make you decide that, okay, this is what I need to do. But however, these are the guys to help you with that decision making process, if the style is the style you use to trade, right? And also as well, you probably would have noticed I haven't mentioned anything about trades that I've taken on the NAS. That's because I'm not actually doing NAS right now. I'm only doing gold. So my positions in gold worked out really well last week, especially on Friday. So Friday I managed to catch that crazy drop all the way down to the downside, because obviously it met with all my criterias, and that was a straight, I wouldn't say easy, right? Because although it was easy for me to execute it, right, having that knowledge didn't come to me easily, if that makes sense, right? So that went really, really well, right? And some of the concepts that the concept I share with you on this channel, okay, is exactly the same thing I am using on gold. It's exactly the same thing I'm using on gold. So this stuff here, pretty much once you understand it, it relatively can give you good results, regardless of the market you decide to go into with it, right? Because it's telling you what it's doing, right? It is literally telling you what it's doing. As soon as it takes it out, you can then make a decision, right, or a calculated risk to say that it's going to go in that direction, and there is always a high probability it does go in that direction, right? It does go in. Sometimes it plays around, but there's always a high probability it will go in that direction. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Okay, so I really hope that you guys have found this video super useful, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Turn on the notification and drop us a like, right? And also as well, if you want to check out some of my back testing videos, you should be seeing the thumb right about now, right? And also if you want to catch up on last week's video, you should be seeing a thumbnail for that right about now as well. So with all of that covered, this is Pips and Points signing out.